I think it's just Halo combat.
I think it's pretty outdated. The enemy spawns are completely whack. It's a lot of just shooting. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's some other games that pull it off really well. It's definitely, in my opinion, it's definitely an outdated thing. Like, that's the whole thing I got when I was playing it was, hey,
And
I'm having a good time.
and now you see why when Halo Infinite, that trailer showed, I'm like, this doesn't feel different.
No, that's just honestly what I played right now kind of felt like that.
And you
And I'm
want
not
that to
saying
be
it's a
open
bad thing.
world. Like, I think Halo
No,
serves better in
Halo-
enclosed
yeah.
and then partially open environments as the level goes on. In all honesty.
The little
Yeah.
bit
Going
of
through
Reach
one, I
that I
agree with
played
that.
was what's it called? The little bit of Reach that we played, that level design and like the way it was set up.
Well,
I don't know, maybe because I didn't play it as long, but I didn't get the same vibe.
Well,
Like 2
Reach-
definitely felt like I was playing retro.
well, 1 and 2 is the main old ones. Reach was in the Xbox 360 era, and they were hitting the more cinematic design of things
Yeah.
when it came to their games. Like in all honesty, like the little bit I played of 4 and all I played of Reach, they were going more for cinematic than they were for why not? For actually their older format. Like Connor, you played through 4 and some of 5, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that kind
I've
of more
played every
cinematic?
single one except for 4. It's definitely more cinematic. I think 5 definitely has the best gameplay. Like it's not really deniable. It's just the
How is
gameplay
5's
feels the
gameplay?
safest and the nicest. Like I said, it's really good. I think it is probably the best in the series because it's very fluid. It is kind of more cinematic-y, but it's still the same type of gameplay that it is in all the games. Like, I think Karan understands when I say this, like, Halo just has a type of feel to it, where it
And
is
like
just that classic
Bray's
run and
point
gun.
is solid of like Halo 1 to 3
3,
are all in that margin of if you have played it during that time, it'll be more of a thing for you. Whereas Reach,
Yeah.
4, and 5 are more modern, easier to get in. Also, Brady, where are we going?
I forgot I was Shop Master. Also, going back to this.
I
aim
agree
scheme
with
is a
what you
little
say.
trippy.
But like,
I just kind of disagree in terms of the outdatedness
Also,
of it.
we
'Cause I
were
feel
playing
like
on
the
heroic.
outdatedness of it does. True, we were playing on like a little bit harder
and
mode.
my ruling when
which
it comes to
does
games is
increase the sponginess.
normal difficulty is
Well,
their
that-
base
for
game.
me, when it comes to a standard first-person shooter like that, I will say right now, and this, I think honestly it could have been the difficulty because I will tell you right now, bullet sponges are my least favorite.
Yeah,
enemy
okay, the
type
bullet spongy part
in
was
games like
definitely
that.
the difficulty part. That was my doing.
Yeah, no. Next time
My
we play
bad.
that, we're going back to normal. To be honest,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll make games
that
go
might
by
fix it.
faster.
the same.
There was times, Connor, where I was standing directly in front of an enemy, unleashing a whole magazine, and like nothing was happening because of how much
Yeah,
bullet
that's
sponge there
just
was.
how heroic be, and that's why heroic's kind of fun with friends.
Well, listen. Well, in my opinion, anytime you up difficulty in a game, I feel like just giving them more health.
that's kind
I
of the
don't
only
like
way to
that
do
personally,
it for most difficulties. To be honest,
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, if you want to do more difficulties, now I'm not a game. I'm gonna say how Karan feels about this because I think I know a decent amount about game development, but I'm not gonna say I'm an expert because I haven't developed my own game. I feel like certain games that have done difficulty really well.
It-
Um,
it primarily depends
Trying
on
to
what type
think.
of game it is, because it's the difference between like an Arkham game where it's not health based, it's more of mix ups and different enemy types. Where you have something like Shadow of War, which is all health based with character traits, and their version of
oh my
difficulty
god.
is rough because
Yeah,
it conflicts with the.
very few.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say very few games, in my opinion. This is kind of like going to Connor's point. Very few games, in my opinion, actually get difficulty settings properly done. In my opinion, and Halo probably because I think back then that was the main thing. Oh, to play it harder, we just give you more health. But nowadays, I mean, we've seen games that have like made enemies more aggressive. They've made
Well, then
what was it?
the
What was a
argument
good
is
game that
more
I
or less
played that-
of the thing about that is it depends on the game type as well as what they introduce. Where like Halo It's like,
Yeah.
we can introduce different enemies and make them more aggressive, but then it's like, okay, but they kind of still die all the same. Can you buff up their health a little bit so I don't feel like I'm just killing the same stuff as before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you can
kind of similar to
definitely.
how I think of Forza and
Also,
how
when
their gravatars differ between difficulties because it'll follow like and the limit aggression like the aggression limiter that you can put on or turn off
mhm.
because for a racing game that makes sense. You want to make your AI more smarter, more difficult to get around, and more perfect in terms of like how they run courses. But you don't necessarily really want that to become a frustrating like again in the Halo game.
Brady,
More health sometimes for people is more satisfactory.
if you want a
Sometimes
good
it's more
genre that has
it's
that will more than
simpler.
likely either like when it comes to like better difficulties, stealth games, that's where they have to excel at.
Oh
Where
yeah.
Yeah,
stealth games
that is
like
true.
Metal Gear Solid, Deus Ex,
Wait, Brady,
Splinter Cell.
Uh,
have you ever played any of the Arkham games?
no, but I do plan on it. Um, what was
Okay.
I gonna say? Oh yeah, to keep on the difficulty conversation. I think this would also answer some questions here. My thing is, I don't like to play on hard difficulties because if you want to have listen, if you want to have a hard difficulty in there and make more health, and you're somebody who likes that, that's you. Me personally, not my thing. I will play the game on the intended difficulty,
For
and
me,
I'll
it
just go from there.
depends because, like, for example, Tomb
Some
Raider,
games need it.
I play that on the hard off the bat because I enjoy, like, for one, in a game where if your thing is like headshots insta kill, then I'm probably gonna raise your difficulty just to see what it does.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that one because you really
And
got to make it like, hey, you really got to make it worthwhile for me to shoot the head to avoid doing everything else.
Yeah,
then it makes it a lot
which
more
is kind of like
interesting.
I think that's why a lot of people really gravitate towards the what was it, Rainbow Six, like that multiplayer competitiveness and like that campaign
But that
style.
Yeah, that hits the difficulty curve of, okay, there's single player difficulty, there's co-op difficulty, and then there's multiplayer difficulty. Where single
Yeah,
player it's meant to be difficult and challenging. Like every game will always have its intended difficulty. I forgot what game it was where like they brought it over to the US and they had to create another Yeah, I think it might have been Metal Gear Solid where they had to create another difficulty specifically for Western audiences because the game was considered too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that
because Western audiences are pussies.
so then the argument becomes,
So,
okay, what is the? Oh, we're going down below. Um,
alright.
there's two difficulties in when you're playing a game. There is the developer intended difficulty, which most games nowadays usually say it. This is their intended
This is the
way to
intended
play the game.
difficulty.
And then there's your personal where you feel like, okay, that is either too easy or too difficult. So then I'll lower it to what I believe is the recommended difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just for me personally, I like playing games a little bit harder. I like more of a challenge, and that comes from where and why I love Dark Souls so much.
For
Yeah, I
me,
like.
And I know that's completely different for you.
Well, I actually no, I agree with you. I actually do like a hard game more often than not. I like games where I actually get rewarded for learning it and playing it. To bring on to Dark Souls' point, and this is all comes down to game design and how completely different it is now. The reason why I like those Souls games so much
actually, we need to
is
go
because it's
over
a
here.
8 times out of 10 you die from something you can learn. You can
Mm,
learn the boss moves. You can learn to avoid the hit. And when it comes to first-person shooters, um, the way I've liked seeing it get done, and I guess you could say a more modern first-person shooter.
I'm
I'm
over here.
coming. Usually I read the description of first-person shooters to see exactly what they say when it comes to difficulties, and I think Rage 2 did this, and I put it on hard difficulty for this reason. Basically, by putting the game on hard difficulty, it makes the enemies... It's not that the enemies do more damage, they don't. However, they're a little bit more aggressive. They're more inclined to throw a grenade in my spot if I'm taking cover. They'll shoot for longer duration, and they'll hold their fire. They'll wait for me to pop out. So I like that, because it's like, okay, if I die, it's like, okay, I went out in the open too soon, I didn't clean this area. And it's not Halo's fault. Back then, games were designed to be hard or have harder difficulties because
Massive.
that's fine. Playing a game for that lasts a long period of
Let
time,
me grab
I
the
feel like
energy
that's
ammo.
how a lot of the retro games were.
Well, like the idea is
Some
that you
more up here,
have
too.
to have a difficulty slider, and when it comes to Dark Souls, that's one of those series where I can't
don't-
really praise it
yeah.
for its difficulty because half the time you could argue RNG. In all honesty,
Oh yeah, there's
You
still
really
gonna be
can.
some. That's why I said 8 out of 10. Like sometimes you do die from bullshit.
and like it's one of those things where like not even dying to that. I mean, in general, of like
I'll
you
take
can
that,
learn
actually.
a boss's attack patterns and the.
And you can still
You
die.
can
Like
Or
Nameless
no,
King,
no.
for instance.
Sorry, let me phrase that.
Or since spawn.
You can still learn a boss's attack pattern all live long day, and they can repeat it as many times as they like, but then you realize, okay, they didn't do this attack this many times, or the boss got stunned for a second, or it froze or something in Dark Souls, and like, okay, now I have a chance to actually beat it while it's broken. Or it's
Oh, yeah,
like,
look at the bosses with a really hard phase 2. Sometimes they don't activate phase 2 until later in the health bar or earlier in the health bar, and sometimes if it's really early, you're like, well, fuck.
I
I'm
will
screwed.
like,
Well, most
Connor,
games should have a health.
when you're playing Code Vein, the bosses enter a phase 2
Yeah.
at a certain point in their health bar, so it's not random. And
Yeah, well, that's
I'll
the
give
same
them
thing
credit
with
for that.
most Dark Souls bosses too.
You can
Yeah, but
usually
sometimes it doesn't
tell,
work exactly as intended.
and that
No, normally they have like set health.
normally
Like,
they
sometimes you'll knock them a little bit further below because you get a good
Oh, no,
combo.
I'll talk about the bosses whose phase 2 is activated on the same health bar, not bosses you beat once and then revive with a better health bar or better attack.
Oh
What
yeah,
was the one
I'm
that
thinking
does
of
that?
like
Well-
you haven't gotten there yet, but Sister Frida does this like 3 times.
no
And she
Yeah,
does it
hers
within
are
the same
cutscene
health
based.
bar.
Yeah.
Those
Not
okay,
all
so
of them.
sorry, let me rephrase that. So Brady, when it comes to health bars and certain bosses, Dark Souls ones do have it. There are chances where they do actually delay their next phase because you either do so much
But it
damage
is,
that it has to catch up to itself,
Yeah.
and that happens.
yeah, like
Yeah,
but
that's what I was
that-
implying.
You never really have it activating at higher health points than intended.
And
Oh no,
then
I've had I just did
he's in New Game
Crystal
Plus,
Sage where
so it's gonna happen.
no, I'll talk.
Yeah,
let's talk-
New Game
this-
Plus is
this-
different though.
No,
That's,
no,
that's
this
a
is on-
different challenge.
No, Karan, this is on the new character
Oh,
I made with
okay.
Destiny. So this is on base game. When I was doing the Crystal Sage, sometimes it was the halfway point that that it would do the phase 2, but then it started. If I wasn't doing the damage fast enough, it started doing it at 60%, 65%. It would start activating its phase 2.
And that's the
That's
game
just
trying
how
to catch
the
up with
boss is
itself.
programmed.
Yeah, trying to catch up with
But
itself.
yeah, and that's slightly kind of where the RNG comes in because I don't know what the game's doing.
And that's
so
why a
if
lot
it
of
chooses
games
to catch up.
Do the thing where like you hit the boss at a certain margin, and some people hate it, and some people what the heck
Players.
just happened? All right, and
I'm not gonna lie,
mhm.
I forgot that we're playing a multiplayer game and not a single player Halo.
So like sometimes it happens,
co-op
sometimes
Halo.
it doesn't. I botched that. I think Halo made me mess up
I
my
fucked up too.
my
Don't worry.
Yeah, it's alright.
I'm dead.
Yeah, they're wrapping around the corner.
There's,
Oh,
like,
that's a
multiple spots
terrible
we're fucked.
spot.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that we were playing a multiplayer game, so I was
Yeah.
just kind of running around and dipping around.
so-
I was kind of in Warframe mode, to be honest.
So when it comes to bosses, that's why a lot of people are debating on whether or not they enjoy it or not. But let's say a boss has 3 phases. You hit it, but you hit it for like let's say it's on like it's about to be on 1% health on its next phase. You do it, but it only does your damage for that 1%, and then it hits a cutscene where it goes to the next phase. Some people hate that because like I did more damage, so he should have less health going into it. But it's still the same
Personally,
amount.
just
Yeah,
from my
that.
experiences with Dark Souls 3, I really enjoy if a boss gets like halfway or like 30% health and then goes in for a second
But-
phase and doesn't reset the health bar. I don't like the reset of health bar. It's kind of
Yeah,
annoying
and that's why the
aggravating, to be
cutscene
honest.
thing is a thing where
I-
like you hit it and they go in the cutscene, whereas versus you're hitting them and then they change mid game, so you have time to either back up or hit them for extra damage. That's kind of the argument there.
My only counter argument to what Connor said, where he likes it only at halfway, and this just comes down to a boss design. Could you imagine the first time doing the Abyss Watchers and beating it for the first time, thinking it died, and then you get the cutscene of him basically resurrecting with all of their souls? You definitely cannot do that with a half health bar, because then I go into it like, oh, okay,
some bosses definitely like that makes more
some
sense.
bosses need
Like the Abyss
some
Watchers
bosses
makes
need
more
to do
sense.
it.
I think Dark Souls in that,
But I think
the Dark
overall,
Souls
I prefer
genre
it that way.
is in that margin where
overall,
it's
I prefer
very
that way, too.
weird because it's hard to replicate, and even if you do replicate it, half the time you question if you enjoy it. Because here's the thing: when you play a Dark Souls game, by the end of it, you're like, "I did it, I'm done." But like in other ones, you're like, "I don't want to really go through this as much," or I kind of want it to be a regular game. Yeah, the Surge too. I gave up on that, and I got decently far. And I just felt like, yeah, no, half of the stuff now they're just doing it for unfair purposes instead of gameplay purposes.
Yeah.
Like
I think what was the one that
hold
I
on.
played that was kind of
Connor,
shit?
in Code Vein, that funnel, that was for unfair purposes. That wasn't for gameplay purposes.
No, that was completely
That was
for
complete.
purposes.
Like
It was,
Code
it was
Vein
purposely trying to
does
fuck
a
you.
lot of stuff to try to screw you over. That's not for gameplay purposes. Like they will have enemies behind corners for no reason. Where Dark Souls tries to like do it in a solid margin.
Yeah.
If you pay
I
attention,
have
you can
noticed
kind of, you can mostly tell if you pay attention when there's an ambush.
No,
about to happen.
because sometimes
it
they'll have a
catches you
corner
off
with
guard when
with
you
a monster,
relax.
and sometimes they'll have a corner with no monster, and sometimes you just can't tell the difference between the two. That has happened multiple times in a very
I'm not
specific
saying-
area.
You know,
I'm
like
not saying that Dark Souls 3 is always like that, but there's
oh no,
more
that's
often
Code
than
Vein.
not, I'm able to
I'm talking
sometimes.
about
spot an
Code
ambush.
Vein.
Sorry, that's Code Vein.
Oh yeah, no,
Dark Souls 3 is much better
I
at
was-
it. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
Agreed.
supporting the argument that Dark Souls
Well,
was better at it. I wasn't saying that
Dark Souls
Code
is
Vein
better
is
at it, but
supposed to be
what
like
I
that.
guess what I was trying to say is that what Code Vein will do that really does piss me off a lot is it'll have an area and it'll have multiple corners, but like
We got people
there's an enemy around
Where?
like one out of like every 4 corners.
Oh, they have
There.
they have height advantage. I'm going around.
Yeah, me too.
So do I.
I don't have anything to hit at that range,
Fuck.
unfortunately. I see him.
Ah shit, I'm down.
Yeah, you try to snipe with the high ground enemy.
I have the high ground, you fuck ass.
So do they?
Yeah, I used it better.
They also have sniper skill.
Crap. Well, I tried.
Oh, we're
He's got
dead.
me there.
But yeah, no, when it comes to game difficulty, it just depends on the type of game and then what if they want to actually commit to modifying their difficulty to a degree, because sometimes they can do that and still come out really like bad. Like Shadow of War.
Yeah.
When they first came out with the difficulty sliders, it was not great because they couldn't, it was not balanced. It was just added difficulty.
No.
Real quick, if you really want to talk while playing something, I feel like we could do a better time talking in Spellbreak because it's not as intensive.
He has a point actually.
But why would we want to play Spellbreak?
That
We're
or
just here
Monster
dicking around
Hunter
talking.
or yeah, no, that's all we have actually.
I was only
That
saying
is-
Spellbreak because we're just kind of dicking around, and I feel like we could dick around more in Spellbreak and not have to sit there and go, oh, we gotta focus. It's just like, okay, just take this tornado. Oh, Connor, we could show you
True.
this. We could show you the rock.
No, he probably has to update that
Sure,
game now.
that's-
I'm thinking about it.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
Try to play it.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Oh, so kind of going full circle. So games, this was definitely more NES, SNES, but definitely early on. Games, also because inflation.
Well, no,
They tried to.
half
Huh?
of those games that you're about to go into, you also got to remember that half of those games came from the age of arcades, and those games were meant for you to lose.
I'm not talking about the arcade ones. I know which ones you're talking about. Not talking about those. I'm talking about Ghouls and Goblins was a pretty good one. I remember. Technically, the original Zelda was like this too.
Most of those games were meant for you to really lose, to be honest. Like
that's my point. Well, that's more those games. But as time has gone on, we've actually have games that are worth the money. But difficulty modes were always like the easiest way to get value back then because it's just like, oh, I beat the game.
We're going to Spellbreak. All right, got it.
Yeah. So difficulty modes were like the easiest way to add content to your game. So if I was a kid and my mom bought me Halo and I beat it, it's like, whoa, well, I already kind of beat my other games. It's like, all right, I'll play it on a harder difficulty. Whereas nowadays, it's like, well, there's so many games out now, and a lot of them last long just from content value. So back then, difficulty was just simply more health, more damage taken, that kind of thing. Whereas now it's kind of evolved into a more aggressive enemy.
Oh, I'm trying to
and
think
whatnot.
because I'm trying to think of old games that had that a lot. Because like yeah, old SNES and NES, most of them didn't have difficulties to a degree. Most of
Actually,
them.
No,
the
not
best
really.
way to really
I forgot what this game looked like. Also,
the best old game that I could think of that actually did what Brady's talking about is probably the WWE series.
what was their thing? Because I'll
Like
talk
the
about Metal Gear Solid and
2010s.
what they did for their difficulty.
Because essentially what they did is they made the computer a little bit more personal, or like
And more
not
reactive.
personal, yeah, more reactive and more human-like with how they like. Obviously, like the quick time events were harder to get.
Mm-hmm.
We're already
Yeah.
in. We're on his.
Doesn't matter.
Always
Always accept content,
obviously
guys.
like
That's
the
what I've
quick time
learned.
events were harder to get, and they had a little bit more health and stamina. But like overall, they just played more like a player.
Yeah, and that's just today's standards. And the same goes for you, Connor, that if I were to put you, let's say you were going to go play Ocarina of Time, you're not going to enjoy Ocarina of Time as much as I would have. Because there's that, even Zelda itself has succeeded
That
itself.
game,
Where
well,
there's Zelda games that tell better stories and better gameplay.
like if it does port over the Switch, I'd gladly tell you to grab it immediately. That's one of like.
Oh yeah, it's still worth a play. It's still worth a playthrough, but you're not going to enjoy it as much as I did.
And then the
Of course, I'm
question
not going to
is,
enjoy it. And I know that that's not that is kind of what we're arguing or not, discussing. But at the same time, back to the original point we were making.
ready up, Brady.
I don't think
Oh yeah.
Halo 2 is a boring game.
I think
Oh, I didn't say it was boring.
No.
I just said that
we put it on
It's outdated.
heroic. Normal is the best difficulty to play Halo on as an introduction. We just did heroic for fun. If there's gonna be 3 of us, so that kind of
I'll
also
definitely
hit the
try it in normal
impression.
difficulty.
Yeah, no. Whenever
True.
we play it again, we'll hit normal and watch how much faster the game and smoother go through. But when it comes to
Honestly,
difficulty,
that might solve most of my problems.
all right, what's your opinion on these two things now? All right, a game that has difficulties versus a game that doesn't and then adds it later on for request. So like when a game comes out, there's this base game on its own and it's like, okay, well, guess we have to add a difficulty now because people want something more challenging. Like when Breath of the Wild came out and they added master mode.
I think anytime a developer listens to its fans and doesn't do something that will break the purpose of the game design, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it doesn't ruin Zelda or change the game design by adding a master mode. It's just like, hey, some of y'all really want to play this game again on a harder difficulty? Sure.
Who's where?
Gritfield.
I'm the
let's go
orange
Gritfield.
one.
Okay. But like as long
Now,
as
if
crap.
you're thinking about Dark Souls, where people said, "Hey, put a difficulty in it," and Dark Souls listened, well, then in that case, you kind of ruin what Dark Souls is by adding it.
that game once again was still always a gamble on whether that would be successful or not. Like,
Oh, that 100%.
It really was.
and they have like updated that thing to a high degree now. Like, I'll put it this way: like that game in all its entirety, no difficulty slider, and everyone hated it.
People.
What's this game's controls? Left bumper to jump.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
it was just you. My bad.
Oh, so I totally forgot to add stone. I picked air for some reason.
Question,
So
what's the
Connor,
ping
we're gonna
button?
play this match. Left stick.
Oh,
If you hold it down slightly longer, it's red.
got it.
Oh, so Connor, watch how this game goes, and then I'm gonna equip stone and watch how that goes.
Gotcha.
But no, like Dark Souls is that
'Cause I
rare
forgot to do
case
stone.
where like the game's hard in all its entirety, and to be honest, it's one of those things where like I don't recommend it for
I
anybody.
could go. I think if it's your type of game, go for it. But if it's not your type of
Well,
game,
the
you
thing
already
is,
know that.
there's no game
There's
really
nothing wrong
like
with that,
that. Is the argument there? Because
Which ones?
there's no game like Dark Souls, to be honest. Like now, there's a lot more of them, but like
I got so never
By
mind.
the time.
you gotta say, like, do you
No.
want to get punished for doing stuff in a game? Play Dark Souls. Play Dark Souls 3
Yeah,
if you
like-
want an easier time and not getting punished as hard. But like,
Well,
And
definitely
again, I
some.
think actually this entire conversation goes back to why I like Dark Souls 1 more.
I
You
like
have
3
the
more,
nostalgia
man.
For it.
Like,
No, I think 3 is a better game through and through. I just enjoy playing through 1 more.
I enjoy playing through 3
My
a
only
lot
problem
more.
with 1 was one thing I didn't like about 1, and the reason why I never did a New Game Plus for 1. See, when I beat Dark Souls 3, I went right to New Game Plus. When I beat Dark Souls 1, it was like, okay, I don't want to do all that tracking and figuring out where to go shit again. Which, you know,
Hold on.
that's just my
Wait.
personal opinion.
Yeah, no, the route's easier. Like, it's one thing. Like, my thing versus
The
Dark
route is
Souls.
100% easier in 3.
Yeah. My thing about
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1
And that's
versus
why
Dark
it
Souls
was more
3
accessible.
is like, in the end of it, it's like they have made a dedicated like trilogy sequel that improves every gameplay mechanic they have. In all honesty, and like it's not like I have like it's not like I don't want to go back to 1. It's like it's not like I can't. I just don't
Enemies.
want where. I just don't like want to
Right here.
Oh, see I just don't like want
Right here, I
to
got
if I had the choice. Because like 1 is nostalgic
That's
and
fair.
nice.
And
but
I
3
just
just
prefer
feels
playing 1.
Yeah, no, I know your
But 3
meaning.
does feel better.
It's just 3 feels better in every regard, and I don't feel as like annoyed by it.
That's fair.
Where 1, I remember all of 1's crap. I remember all of its dumb gimmicks. And I'm like, versus 3, 1's gimmicks are the worst.
Yeah, they do. The gimmicks do hit really hard sometimes.
Oh, I don't have teleport. That's
It's
why.
not very fun.
Moonlight Butterfly, anybody?
No, not even the Moonlit Butterfly.
That's just more of annoying than anything.
Just the first area being super like, okay, you can go any of these 3 directions. What's the most optimal one? Oh, you can figure it
Where is
out.
everybody?
Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, me too.
All right.
I really should probably collect more stuff. But,
Well, let's...
I'm not playing this game seriously, to be honest.
yeah, neither am I.
No,
We
I'm
need
not
this
either.
conversation. But,
Fuck.
like,
I don't have an amulet, so I'm kind of fucked here.
that's why I said, like, when it comes to difficulties and stuff like that, I just prefer, like, stealth games are one of those ones where, like, it's the best thin line of, is it too difficult or am I just, like, not getting it? So, like, too difficult being the biggest, like, factor when it comes to a stealth game difficulty is the enemy awareness time. The harder it is, the more realistic. But then the question is, when does it become almost like unbeatable? Because like you gotta think of like, okay, what's the enemy's sight range, and how long does it take them to identify me, and how long do I have personally to react to it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the thing where like difficulty can either hit to such a high degree that you can't actively play the game, or it's nice and challenging, and I feel a good in between. Because in reality of things, no one likes dying when they play a game, to be honest. Load times also come into play as well. Or like, for example, I'm playing Control right now, and the load times in that are anywhere between 20 seconds and 40 seconds. Mostly goes into the 30,
Ouch.
40 range. So like dying really like sucks, and I'm not in the mood to deal. But there's no difficulty slider in that. And it's not a difficult game, it's just you get trapped at certain moments.
As it happens. Let's go Hidden Village.
Where? Oh.
Hayaku Village.
But yeah, no, when it comes to
Now,
Dark
one
Souls,
thing that
I just don't recommend it to people.
No, you should never recommend
Same.
a Dark Souls game to someone, which
'Cause
I admittedly have
Someone
done
has to
before.
give a very specific description for me to recommend Dark Souls to them, and I mean very specific.
oh yeah,
So like, I want to come on. I've really been thinking about playing this game. Like, I want a game where like every decision
I want to feel
make
like shit when I
feels
go
like
to
being
bed.
slapped in the dick repeatedly over and over again.
Fallout
And then that one
76?
time that I do it right,
Oh, sorry, continue.
the one
Connor,
time
you gotta be,
that I do it
you gotta be a
right,
little bit more.
Here's the thing, there's a lot of
You can be a
trash
little-
I can recommend. But Dark Souls isn't trash, is the funny part.
What are you
Like,
saying, Brady?
You can be a little bit more simpler with the description. I just want to go to bed, like, you know, feeling like shit. I got an enemy right here, but I'm probably gonna beat them. Oh shit.
And I don't want to be an alcoholic.
I want to play a game
Oh, I
and
got
just feel bad.
kills.
I want to play a game and just feel bad about
Yeah, but
everything
okay.
I do.
Where
Alright,
are you guys at? Oh shit.
there are enemies here.
I kind of went gun-ho in here by accident.
It's fine. It happens to the best of us. There's a lot of people here for some reason.
I avoided some people.
Probably if you're able to get me, that'd be pretty swell. There's nobody around me.
I would, but that Kronos one sucks.
Coming down, coming down, coming down. Oh,
Well.
over there's an enemy, but they're fighting,
Got
so
him.
it's okay.
Yeah, I got him.
Oh, you picked the wrong place to jump, dude. Oh, he's almost dead. I got him with 2 stone hits.
Well, I can't see him from here, so,
That guy. He's healing.
Which guy?
Right here. Kron's fighting him.
Well, I tried. He's,
Sorry.
around that block
We're
somewhere.
not really playing super difficulty.
Or,
I don't know how to play this game.
Oh, no, that's the game I was getting
Alright.
back to. Devil May Cry, character action. There,
I don't
that's,
know how to play this game.
it doesn't matter. We're not taking this seriously, to be honest.
No. There's his
So-
side talk.
So,
That's
Brady, Devil May Cry is one of those things where they do increase the enemy health, they do increase their aggro, and it's one of those things where you get.
But how much health are we talking? How much health are we talking? Like, is it like a really noticeable like sponge health, or is it like a little bit more hits to do?
It's more than a little bit. It's more like medium range, because then it becomes the higher difficulty, that's spongy, but the hard difficulty, that's where it becomes okay. You play normal, it's character action, so you know the combos and how to do things. Now, can you perform them well enough to keep the momentum going on these enemies at this point? And then it becomes.
And that's actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, it doesn't become okay. They're spongy enemies. It becomes I got to use all the skills I've learned plus the upgrades I've gotten to kind of get through this now and do things better and kind of keep the momentum going, and that's fine. But
No, that's a good example of using increased health for like it's what's it called? Increased health for a prop. Ah, shit. You know what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
That's a good example where you can increase health and have it mean something, because if you're just playing the game for the first time, it's like, oh, well, I gotta learn the mechanics, and when
Well-
you do the mechanics right, you slay.
and then like when it comes to difficulty, it's when you first get the game versus you going through the game on New Game Plus and what you feel like you can do. Where like New Game Plus is a thing on its own when it comes to difficulty, where like you beat the game, you got your upgrades. All right, is this going to be fun, or is it going to feel like I'm doing the same thing just with extra health or something?
I would say Dark Souls.
Which is
was
where I
more
think
fun.
Dark Souls 3 really does do a really damn good job at doing, is New Game Plus.
Where like yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, because you're.
sorry, go ahead.
I was like, one thing I liked about New Game Plus in Dark Souls was my end game character was a lot more fun than my weak ass character. So to
Oh,
play
hell
through it
yeah.
all again and just to like play it again with my fun stats, like, and then I can also try different weapons without having to worry about it like affecting my thing. Cause like, okay, cool, I can actually like mess around.
I got an
and
enemy near me by the
try
way.
weapons now. I see you.
I'm gonna get attacked.
Where is he?
You're right off.
Over here.
All right, if you ping him, I could stone him. Medieval way.
They're kind of fighting someone else. I'm just gonna slowly walk the other direction.
Oh, if they're in here, let me stone them.
But yeah, Connor, that's also why I'm like, I'd rather play Dark Souls 3.
There it is.
Like, New Game Plus Dark
Fair
Souls
point.
1 is, you don't feel as fun going through it as going through 3. Then again, I can also rush through 3 faster than rushing through 1, because 1 takes a lot of time.
I guess I just really enjoyed the opening, like, first, like, Rush to Anne Orlando a lot more than I like the openings of 3. I think 3 has a better end game once you get past the halfway point, where 1 is the opposite, where 1's first half is more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second half was definitely not my favorite. Everything after
it's really
Orchid and
it's no
Smog
one's.
was meh.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think as soon as you get to in
Those
3,
enemies right here.
where it really picked up for me
Mhm.
was the Abyss
Where are you
Monsters. As
guys?
soon as you go down, you get
Oh, I'm dead.
As soon as you go down and you
Shit.
fight the Abyss Monsters,
Where are you,
that's when
Kron?
the game really gets fun. Because
In the
after that,
maze.
I'm pretty sure you go to Pontiff,
Oh, I'm dead. Yeah.
Oh.
and then Pontiff is like the Pontiff City is just beautiful. Like
Oh, yeah.
everything in that
Boreal
area looks
Valley was
amazing.
really
I
good.
think when it
And
comes
then
to
the boss fight before you do Pontiff is fantastic. I think it was
Mhm.
oh, what was that?
Oh,
What was
fuck.
that boss?
Wait, where am I?
This
Shit.
one before
I just
Pontiff.
killed
I
somebody.
don't remember what the name is, but that was
Oh,
a fun boss
shit.
fight. And then Pontiff is amazing. Oh no, it was Pontiff because Pontiff leads into the internet, the
Like the
Anne Orlando
worst
room.
boss fight in the game is just Deacon of the Deep. Whereas in Dark Souls 1, the worst boss fight is between the Moonlit Butterfly. Shoot, who else am I thinking of?
Terrace Demon. I would
Terrace
say.
Demon. Because I
the Witch.
honestly think the Terrace Demon is a very unfair boss fight in its entirety.
No. Terrace Demon is exactly what it shouldn't be, and that is completely unfair.
Like, in all honesty, when it comes to Terrace Demon, 1, the problem is the small arena. 2, he's already moving at you by the time you transition through the fog door.
No, I completely agree that at first, that
Did I kill them all?
boss is terrible.
Yeah, you got them all.
Yeah, you did.
Welcome to Stone, Connor. Way too much
Fair.
damage.
But yeah, no, like that
Was you
Terrace
using
Demon.
Caustic?
Nah, he switched. Yeah, no, the Terrace Demon fight, like that's the thing about Dark Souls, like as a genre where it comes to like there's a lot of unfairness to that game, in all honesty. That's why I can't like praise it on its difficulty at all.
No. It does do a lot of things intentionally to kind of fuck you around.
Like I'm fine with enemies around a corner or
Like
a trap.
Blighttown. The entire existence of Blighttown is to make
Pointless.
the player pissed off.
Difficult.
Fuck. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will say that right now. I will never want to do Blighttown
Everyone
again.
Everyone
No,
that plays Dark Souls,
that is why you grab the Master Key.
everyone that plays Dark Souls
Yeah.
hates Blighttown because they know how unfair and stupid it is.
Mhm.
And
No, I completely agree with that.
there's difference between level
Blighttown
design
should not exist.
and pointless, like, and having level design just to be difficult. Where like
But at the same time, the swamp area in Dark Souls 3 is
every swamp area in Dark Souls sucks, to be honest.
Yeah,
True.
but it definitely.
very true.
I had a way easier time and spent way less time in the swamp of Dark Souls 3
True.
than I did in Blighttown.
Well, I
That is
think
true.
3 they learned and they also became more mainstream. It's also why I think 3 is easier. Because
Also true.
2
And
is
I think also that could be the hipster in me, which is why I do like 1 a little bit more.
like 2 was bad on all regards just because it was a badly designed game. Whereas 1 and 3 are solidly designed games, but it's a lot of stuff they do for unnecessary reasons just to make the game more difficult. And they know it, because that's why they repeat the process over and over. But it's like unnecessarily difficult and dumb.
Yeah.
Where what was it? Dark Souls 3. I'm trying to remember the bosses like I actually like. Deacons of the Deep. That boss fight,
Yeah,
Yeah,
DFD was
fuck
stupid.
that vice.
it's
So
like
stupid. It's not hard, it's just stupid.
yeah, it's just there to be pointless. Well, it's there for lore reasons. It's just that's also where Dark Souls kind of lacks as well. It's just like the lore is either you care or you don't. And that's why
And
like
some people just don't.
most people don't, to be honest. Like it's just cool
True.
design, and that's where the focus on their difficulty comes into play, where it's like, okay, if I'm not focusing on the story, then I'm focusing on the gameplay. And if the gameplay gets difficult, and I get like, that's also the thing of like, in Dark Souls 1 and 3, if you have a bad build, too bad, you're stuck with it for a very long time. Or in Dark Souls 1's case, you're stuck with it forever unless you create a new character, and then it becomes, so I have to go through all this again. Dark Souls 3 becomes,
And they don't
if you don't find
explain exactly what to do.
if you don't find the respec person, then guess what? If you don't like your build, you're gonna have to start the game over again, and that's not difficulty. That's just terrible repetitiveness. And then like
No, and that's why I do enjoy Code Vein as a game, because it very much succeeded in making a good tutorial for your system.
like, in all honesty, like that game has some moments I dislike, but it does a lot of stuff right. Is also the thing.
Yeah.
Like I like having
Code Vein definitely is a step in the right direction, and it's not as mainstream as it
opposed to like
really could have been.
where the Surge, I'm like, if they ever make another like Surge game, I'm not really in the mood to play it. Where if they make another Code Vein game, I'm perfectly down to play that again, like 100%.
Yeah.
What studio made Code Vein?
I'll look it up right now because
'Cause I know it was published by Bandai.
yeah, I know Bandai Namco had to do with that one, but I'm actually that game. In all honesty, Brady, wait, if you do play it, it's like a break
I
from
will.
Dark
I can
Souls.
buy it for $20.
Slash, you just feel better like going through it because it's actually one. It's good looking. Like they got the aesthetic down properly.
It has that anime vibe so well. It's what honestly, Code Vein is what I wish Jump Force looked like.
You're not wrong. Speaking of a terribly designed game.
Yes. Can we all agree that Jump Force is probably the worst game we ever bought right off the
Yeah,
bat?
that's a regretful buy.
At least I had dumb fun with it. I would say Rage 2 is still one of the worst buys I've done.
I'm glad I got Game
I'm
Pass
sorry,
for that
but
one.
no. I have not played Rage 2, but fuck, Jump Force was such a...
Hey, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah,
on
no,
Game Pass,
it's just
you might as well
Bandai
play
Namco Studios. Primarily, yeah. So,
Hey. Wait, is that
Okay.
still downloaded? Like, that better not be downloaded.
which is also the Dragon Ball crew as well, Connor. Bandai Namco.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I played Dokkan, I know.
But like in terms of difficulty, Dark Souls is a difficulty where it's not easy, it's not hard, it's mainly just unfair. And Brady, to your point of not knowing where to go, I am perfectly fine with not having a map in games if you have a way to navigate it that I can actually see. And they don't have
That's
that
me too.
there.
I don't
Dark
need a
Souls
map
1's
either.
opening areas does not do a good go at
Where,
at
like,
all.
If you play something
completely
like
agree with that.
BioShock, for example, where like it's a fully established
You know where you're
area
going.
and there's markers, and there's not like gameplay markers, there's in like, you know what I'm trying to say, in the design of a city there's like signs and stuff
I think
around the
Arkham
way.
is a little bit better of an example that you're looking for.
I'm only saying BioShock because first person.
True.
Third
Very
person, you can look around more and kind of get more of a feel of the area, where first person, you're more in enclosed space and you kind of have to, you have a map, but like the reason I'm using BioShock because I think Prey does it a lot better.
Wow, Brady.
Yeah, just don't do
I'll see
anything.
him.
It
Where'd he go?
just don't do anything. They just stand there. You just watch. They're not going to attack you because guess what? Doesn't matter.
Yes,
Come on,
Brady.
this is a new thing. Look at this. I get 2 of these.
It's stupid.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
They buff the
shit,
damage on
I'm
everybody.
getting fucked.
Wow.
The reason I use BioShock because it's a city area and a lot of games focus like games with maps are fine. Games without maps, you have to like convey to the person that there are ways to navigate this place.
Would you say... Oh, actually, crap. I lost the game. Never mind. Sorry.
Oblivion?
Elder Scrolls, it does a terrible
No.
job.
No, Elder Scrolls
Oh,
is
yeah.
fucking terribly made where you don't know where you're going if the waypoint doesn't work.
Yeah, like
I don't know how to explain it. I think it all comes down to level design. When it comes to I don't think an open world cannot have a map. That's the problem.
I think it can. It's just like you don't
Unless
notice
there's a
your
lot of-
markers
A lot of
because you have a
Oh,
map.
yeah.
I think Dark Souls 3 is a pretty good way of an open world having no map. I think the game we started this
I
on,
guess it's-
Dark Souls 3 does a fantastic job with that.
It-
Because
Well,
it's very linear and more mainstream.
Whereas Dark
Oh, so you're
Souls
saying
1 is
don't
more
have a map and
open.
make the open world linear.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1 is more
See,
open and
Brady,
go
think
explore.
about you can have a game and not have a map. It could be open. The thing is, you need to know where to go based on the landmarks around you.
Yeah,
so, like, if
and
you're in a
everything looks the
hospital,
fucking same.
You see a board full of different
Spell
rooms,
break.
and you see like a board full of rooms, and you're like, okay, I need to go to room 102, and it has a little like arrow saying, okay, this is the direction of 102, and you just keep going, until you get to your you learn the way as you play the game. That's
I got
perfectly
you.
fine. It doesn't have to be linear.
So you definitely need a
Kinda
smaller
why,
map.
You just need to
Well, that
No. I'm not saying you
sorry.
need a smaller map. Sorry, Connor. Let me try to get this out. It's
You're
like
good. Yeah. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
all right, like the Yakuza games. You're on an entire block. You can navigate that entire game without using the map at all, because there are markers, areas. Like there's different displays, signs all around the place that can tell you and show you which way you are or where you're at. Like if you're in a museum and there's a little board that says you are here and this display is in this direction. And you're like, okay, so it's through this corridor way, up this path a little bit, and I can get there.
Yeah, whoever's not in Gritfield, go to Gritfield.
Oh, sorry.
How would you feel about a non-interactive map? It's just something where it's like, okay, here's the map of everything, and we wrote down the waypoints, and you gotta look around to see where you are and pinpoint that on the map.
That's what most games are. If you just just don't use the map, like that's what a lot of games have, and that's to make it feel more alive. Like if you're in the city, there's going to be signs that tell you where to go, so you don't feel like you're lost.
Actually, look at GTA. I guarantee you, Brady, that you probably know GTA better than any city like you've ever played in. Just how much you spent playing online. Like you know exactly where everything is on that map.
It's easier in city locations and buildings than it is in open places. Is the thing about it. So like how Yakuza takes place in like a couple of blocks, you know exactly where to go after a certain point based on the signs around the place. Even if you don't like speak the language, you know, like, okay, yeah, this district was like across from this district, so I can just walk there. And that's how.
If you don't mind me interjecting.
Yeah.
A good like dichotomy, a good like comparison would be GTA versus Red Dead 1.
I would say GTA versus
I don't
Skyrim
know how to
actually.
get around Red Dead 1, and I've put 60 at that too. Well, just because they're made by the same company.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could not travel the map of Red Dead 1 at all. I could travel GTA,
like,
and I've played far less GTA.
So like, it's literally like,
blame you.
it's like when you explore a section so much, you kind of know your own landmarks and stuff. Or like, let's say Breath of the Wild does it very crappily to a degree, to be honest. When it comes to
what game was it?
Breath of the Wild, it focuses more on landmarks than giving you direction. So that's the definition of being too open with your area and still trying to give players freedom.
That's also why that game kind of makes me not want to play that game, is because I know I'll get very
like, I'll be ready. Every time you see gameplay for Breath of the Wild, it looks very barren, bland, and open.
Oh, I was about to say there's not enough diversity in that map for me to sit there and go, oh, I know where exactly the hell I am.
That's why
every time you ask
it
me.
Doesn't have to be
now,
linear.
Connor, you won't get frustrated because it would actually I mean, just like every other open world, you're gonna have your enemies here.
But like, yeah, no, it can work. Like you can do a game without a map just based on your landmark stuff. It's just that you wouldn't be used to it, but you'd be able to do it. Like if you want a small instance, Sanctuary, you can navigate that entire place without a map. You know exactly where to go and where stuff is at.
I know that place by heart. Sanctuary.
In Borderlands 2.
To be fair, a lot of things are called Sanctuary. He's not. That would be fair.
But you can navigate your own hub in a game without a map very easily, right? Where are you at?
Yes, of course.
Keeps getting in the way.
Well, actually, hop on the Borderlands thing. I think Borderlands 2 does a very good job of making it open, most maps open, while still giving you that sense of direction and like level design.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's some more enemies over here. Sorry.
It's only one.
I'm
trying to see him where he is, though. He needs to land, though. He's just constantly jumping. Oh, there's two. If I can get a hit on, though, this guy. Shit.
Well, I'm dead. That was unfortunate. Oh, wait, never mind.
How's this guy flying so much?
Yeah, I'm dead. But,
it's effective.
You were saying Borderlands, Connor?
Yeah, I think Borderlands 2 does a really good job of doing both. Making the game feel like an actual level to pass through with checkpoints where eventually if you play the game enough you don't really need a map to go through. But it's also like it's spawned like the big open areas like in between. Those are just kind of fun to run around in. and eventually you don't really need a map for that either. And it's not they're not the most open world thing ever. There's different levels, but the way that they design it, level design, like Brady was talking about earlier, it really makes that world kind of flow together.
A game that does
Yeah,
it
Breath of
really
the
well.
Wild is definitely something without a map.
Oh, speaking
I
of a game
could not
without a
tell you
map,
where I was.
I know exactly the game. Dead Space. They that game doesn't have a
True.
map. It only has Dead Space 1 I don't think had a map. It had only a waypoint
No, it
marker
does
that you
not.
could follow, and that was about it. But you explore the sections of the ship as you keep going, and you start remembering pathways you've been, where you gone, and where you kind of have to go after a while. And that's
Well,
definitely
isn't the most infamous one the one with the tentacle, the hallway with the tentacle that you go back to in 2?
yeah. I watched an interesting interview about that and how they had to that was almost about to end the game doing
Enemies.
that.
Wait, where are you guys? Oh shit, where are you guys?
I'm over here.
I see you. Oh fuck, you guys are far away.
Interesting thing about that, Connor, by the way, that was one of the things that was the most difficult thing for them to do in that entire game, apparently.
I think I watched a video on that. I think it was a Fact Fiend video.
Yeah, it was that one where it was like just trying to figure out how to animate that properly was almost like ending.
Because they had to completely change his character model.
Yeah, that was like, but no, Dead Space when it comes to like just level design and you trying to figure out your way, you remember stuff because 1, it's a horror game. 2, it's survival, so you kind of have to keep track of where you've been and what you already have to do. And
yeah,
it's in a partial linear fashion, but you're in the space station and you kind of have your routes you have to take and things you got to do.
Okay. I don't know if they added a map, but I never used a map in this game, and this might be kind of stretching. Because it is a different world every time you start up the game. But if you stick with the same one, Minecraft is one, where you don't have a map, but...
You technically can have a map.
No,
yeah,
he's actually right on this
have
one.
To make one.
The probability of you keeping your map is very low.
Yeah.
So...
And... you kind of just, like, after the landmarks that either you make or is around, you do kind of just learn the area, you learn your space, you learn your hideout, you learn your distraction hideout.
Oh, yeah.
Minecraft does that very well.
But that's kind of the also definition of not having a map. Oh, you know what that game you're playing, The Long Dark? Is there a map in that?
No, I don't think
There's a small one.
Okay.
It may be a mini map, but I could be wrong.
But the idea is that...
I hate this game. Let's see how episode of The Long Dark will go. I'll let you know.
Alright, yeah. We're doing solo stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some solo stuff. I just
don't mind saying up and keep talking.
Yeah.
Spell break anymore.
I'm gonna...
we're just wasting time with it.
Yeah, what was I saying?
I just still don't like...
So, the thing about not having a map also is that you have to rely on their game design to work. And Dark Souls doesn't work in that fashion. It relies on you failing in order to succeed.
Which was intended purpose, though.
Unfortunately, it was to both its detriment and its kind of reward.
Yes, to its detriment too. I'm not gonna say it was perfectly executed.
Exactly, and it's one of the things where, like, in Dark Souls, like, going through the game, like, not dying is almost near to impossible to do. But, like, in the beginning, when you first play that game, no one, I want to say, like, 90% of people did not go the right pathway. They went the left.
No.
And in that regard, they're like, okay, this is very difficult. May I have to go this way? And if they fail at going to the right path, then it becomes, okay, where do I go then? And it's like, how can you feel going the right path? Like, this game's not easy to play.
That's how I felt when I first played that game. That's why I took a 6-month break between when I first picked it up and when I actually started playing through it.
Oh, no, I looked it up to make sure I was right. And I was wrong.
What game was this?
Dark Souls 1. Going the right way in the beginning. Once you reach the hub.
3 did not have that problem.
No, 3 didn't have a problem at any point in time.
I had a problem going and finding where to go to get to the Abyss Launchers, but that was it.
Where in 1, once you reach not the hub, well, yeah, I guess it's the hub area basically. You're like, you have about in total 3 potentially different directions you can go. However, since you don't know how big this game is, your first thought is, okay, it might be a lot more open than I think it is based on this area. It's not 3 doors or 3 hallways. It's literally an entire room that's connected to 3 hallways. But the room is really big, so you're like, okay, I don't know which hallway to go down because I can die at each one.
Oh, that's right. I'm gonna die.
Whereas you have the skeletons left path, you have the rotting zombies on the right, and then you have the ghosts at the bottom. So, like, yay?
Yeah.
Your options are quite limited. And you think that would funnel people into the right direction, but most of the time it doesn't, because you're not too sure, like, how much of this I'm supposed to survive or how difficult this is supposed to be. And that's just like the thing about it. Where let me think. And then RPGs, they have, I want to say, one of the roughest times when it comes to difficulties. And all
They are very differing.
Like turn-based and like open, like Outer Worlds and Fallout and stuff like that. They have the most difficult time when it comes to dealing with difficulty. Where like it could either be literally this game is better for it or this game is worse for it.
I think the problem with RPGs in that sense, I wouldn't say it's a problem. I mean, it's just I think it just comes with the genre, but it's definitely reliant on you leveling up. So, not intentionally. Well, some games intentionally design like this, but I feel like even if you're not designing it this way, you still can have the problem where, oh, no matter how good I am, I just simply cannot beat this enemy because he's too high of a level.
Well, that's where it becomes whether or not the game lets you know there's a recommended level.
Which I think Borderlands 1 actually does a very good job of.
Borderlands 1, it doesn't actually. Never mind.
I think it does do it. I think it does. Especially if you
ran
count
into
DLCs.
a million. What are you talking about? Hold on, let me hear what you're saying. What?
Wait, you said 1?
Yeah, I think Borderlands 1 does a really good job of
Recommended
levels that you have to be on, because if you're not on level to a certain area, if you go and you see someone that's like, if you're level 12, you go into a level 18 area, you know you can't do anything in there. You have to come back at a later date.
Never mind, you're right on that one. I thought about it more. I'm like, certain missions, yes and no, but overall they did it better because you have to be on that level to fight that, to like get a better chance at that boss. If you're going through it first time. I don't need the Buster Arm. I need Ragtime. I don't need that one.
I need to eat something. Do I eat?
But like yeah, no, like difficulty is RPGs have it rough because it can either make or break it, especially with bosses. Alright, how do I do this again? There we go.
Right. Go to the fireplace.
But like put it this way,
warm.
Brady, when Cyberpunk comes out, if you want a good like idea of how to function without a map, and that actually determines how good their game design is, try exploring an area without a map and just see how you fare.
What were we saying now? Sorry, there was a lot of combat going on my screen.
Oh, sorry. When Cyberpunk comes out, if you want a good idea of how strong their game design is, let's just see what it's like to explore the area without a map and see how it goes. Like, explore a building without a map and see if you can make it to where you need to go.
Yeah, going back to Breath of the Wild, I will agree that there needs to be more biomes or more towns or something.
There needs to be a lot, like, they have too much space to work with and not enough content to make you feel like it's worth it.
See, if they wanted to do an empty world, they should have just done the Nier approach and make a small but compact world.
That's still...
And they didn't do that. They made a very big, vast one.
Yeah, they made an open world.
And not that that's bad, but you really have to try and fill that world with
the only games that get away with doing that are like games like Minecraft and Terraria, where you kind of have to build up yourself to get that kind of grandeur. Where Breath of the Wild, it didn't have mechanics to kind of advocate that kind of thing. Okay, why is the button? To advocate that kind of thing. So it just becomes, after a while, and don't get me wrong, like that game has a lot of like good moments in it, but overall, it's not a grand game, and it was overhyped by a lot of reviewers because, you know, Nintendo.
Which
Listen,
say
every
that one
Zelda
again?
game will
So-
get
The Wild?
overhyped.
Sorry, Breath of the Wild being overhyped and overdone by a lot of reviews because, you know, Nintendo. Their games have to be
Yes.
perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least, like, by
Connor, to put that in perspective,
8 out of
Skyward
10.
Sword, Skyward Sword, while it does have good story concept, everything about it was executed poorly. The world was executed poorly. The combat was executed poorly. And all the major publications still gave it a 10 out of 10, even though all the fans will unanimously agree that if they had to pick one, Skyward Sword is the worst.
it's long as they were like, yeah, they had too much space to work with. It's like, do you guys remember Just Cause?
I remember it. I didn't play too
Yeah.
much of it.
Definition of a world so
Unfortunately.
open that, like, it felt barren.
It really did.
I might want to play as Dante instead.
And I only played it for like 3 minutes.
I could never beat it because I felt
You know.
I got too bored. Yep.
Yeah,
Dante.
that's about what I
What
did.
game? Just Cause?
Yeah, I
I
could
heard
never
that.
beat
Yeah, it
it.
was just too
People.
boring.
It was too boring.
Like the combat also didn't really. I didn't like it.
Like Breath of the Wild, I love it the way it looks. It's a perfect aesthetic, or like that cartoony, like Zelda, like quirky look to it. But like, if they make a second one, there needs to be more to it. Like Mario handles,
Yeah, I'm hoping it's...
like it's the definition where Mario handles itself perfectly, where it has just the right, like instead of having giant open areas to a degree, it has small compact areas that are filled to the brim with stuff, so you never feel bored doing something.
Oh.
And that's like a
That's
great
because
way
look
of
how
doing
vibrant those levels are.
But they're vibrant, they're open, and you see stuff you can and might want to do in them. Where Breath of the Wild, you take any screenshot and half of them look the same.
There needs to be more variation with that world. If not more variation, there needed to be more... Like, you remember the town Hateno, or whatever it was?
Yeah, building up a town, which would have been a more
There needs-
interesting
there needs
premise,
to be more-
actually.
Well, actually, did you do the side quest where you get to build an entire town?
No, by the end of that game, I beat Ganon, and I never did it because I didn't feel like searching for them.
Oh, I did it before I beat Ganon, and it was actually kind of fun. But the biggest problem by far is there needs to be more either town building elements or just more towns in general. The fact that there's only one major city, not including Kakariko Village, was kind of like, okay, this could have been way cooler if there was more cities, but it's just one city.
Okay, let me remember that combo. Yeah, it needed, excuse me. For one, it needed better side quests that actually have waypoint markers to track. It needed
They should
dedicated
not have
side
side
quests. Because it's the difference between that and Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, where every side quest you do actually has some relevance and potential importance to helping you advance within the story or make your time easier, or at least be funny or witty. But you kind of have a more concise thing of what you need to do, and you can kind of keep track of it better, where I want to say 90% of all quests in that entire game is either go to this location and they give you a very vague description, or figure out this riddle that has a very vague description. And hope it's nearby the
Yes.
area and not halfway across the map. And
Or
like,
kill this enemy above the hill.
and I will praise Yakuza for its ability to keep a compact area full of just stuff to do, because I don't get bored.
Connor, if you ever play Breath of the Wild, you play that as... Honestly, play it like Minecraft. Just go explore, find shit, kill shit, maybe, and then just do the story
That's probably what
alongside
I'll
of
play
that.
it as, to be honest.
You'll-
Because
Don't do the
you-
side
like I
quests.
s-
Don't play it like an RPG. Nothing like that.
I wasn't going to.
You might get
It really
bored
wasn't.
doing that, to be
Especially
honest.
the RPG.
What was that, Karan?
No, I'm pretty good. Like the reason I think I would be fine is because I did the same thing with Shadow of War.
Good point. Good point. That's also like, all right, Shadow War's an also interesting scenario where they instead focus on their mechanic to flood the world. What the heck was why?
And I would sit there. I mean, to be fair, I think it's a special case where it did a damn good job.
Yeah, no, instead of flooding the world with side quests primarily, they decided to use their mechanic and flood it with side quests that way, where you can decide how important a side quest is yourself.
And somehow it worked.
Yeah, no, somehow that game worked, and it has a mechanic that no one else has replicated yet because of how difficult it is to replicate.
Warframe's the only one I know that's tried.
Oh no, sorry. Warframe and XCOM have done it to a degree. And speaking of a game with difficulty and RNG, holy crap. That's a game I
Where's
never...
Gearrat's Ashes?
Say it again?
Where's Gearrat's Ashes when he dies in Irithyll?
I don't remember that game to give you good enough tips on it, to be honest.
I'll look that up again, because
Outer
I'm
Worlds.
playing my new game, plus Dark Souls 3. No, I'm playing Dark Souls 3.
Oh, okay.
Ethereal's Ashes.
I tried playing Outer Worlds, but I'm just really not in the mood to play Outer Worlds at the moment, so I'm sticking around with this.
Fair.
I don't remember exactly where those ashes are at. This is not the game to play for this.
I'll have to look it up.
Bethesda games, they don't work when Skyrim and Fallout games don't work when it comes to difficulty. Because those games can't function on higher difficulties.
No, they really don't function very well at all.
Because the problem with their thing in difficulty is, for one, their mechanics don't really adhere to that kind of thing. Like, it's not meant to be a difficult game in all its entirety. Challenging at times, difficult, not even once. Like, it's not meant to do that. That's where their DLCs come in, but they only make things difficult because they introduce a new mechanic. And that's separate from a difficulty mechanic. I'm trying to think what else.
Okay, I'm getting a little less hungry. Still didn't heal. Wonderful. Alright.
I'm trying to think what else it would be.
I think now would be the time to be resting. Probably. Maybe? I don't know. I'm fucking up. Probably.
But yeah, no, like, when it comes to game design, like, you can tell how confident they are depending on their map. Whether or not you not having a map, you can tell how confident they are in finding something if they want to make it more realistic.
So would you say that GTA 5, well, not only because I played it for a while, but do you think it's because the city looks different, the country looks different, Sandy Shores looks different, everything's different enough, and then within the city there's downtown, there's the arena, there's the industrial complex, there's the actual city. Is that why you think that, like, because of that city design, I was able to actually make my own map of it?
Well, yeah, you can think of landmarks and go like, okay, those tall buildings downtown, small, rich-looking rural homes, that's probably near the Hollywood sign. Those are probably more rich end areas. Yeah. The beach, by the water, low coast. Sorry, continue.
If you don't mind me interjecting here, this is why I think the Horizon 4 map doesn't work all that well, because a lot of it does look really the same.
Because it's supposed to be driving, not navigating.
Well, even then...
True, but...
Yeah, he actually...
You're still supposed to be driving and navigating the entire time around. It's a free roam.
It'll be more...
I don't think, well, the thing is, too, did we play it, like, consecutively long enough to even make our own map, or do you think... I mean, I see what you're saying, never mind. It's pretty much...
Yeah, no, like...
I think if you checked your hours,
I'll take that back.
You're gonna have more hours than you think.
I'm actually gonna take that back, because when I think about that map, I think about how different every section kind of was. I just don't think we play... It's a big map, so we didn't play it like long enough.
No offense to both of you for that. Like, I don't expect anyone to memorize a racing map. I remember a racing track, yes. A map, no, not at all. A track, I expect, like, if you play a game to a degree, and like Mario Kart, for example, you remember tracks because you have to navigate that.
Oh yeah.
To deal with it. Whereas, like, Forza, I highly doubt you guys go through the same track a lot. Also, Connor, you have 3 days. Brady, you have 2 days on Forza.
Okay. Oh, wow, you're checked.
Okay.
Thank you.
But we didn't play those because it's a lot of on and off. Whereas GTA, I played it religiously, so I kept consistently
Well, that's why I'm like,
making the map.
whenever, if you ever have time to play Red Dead, that's why I say play in the first person. You get much more immersed and you kind of know where you're kind of going to a degree. It's more open, so it's like, okay, where's this at? It's north. How far north? Unfortunately, unlike a city where you can kind of get more landmarks, so you kind of really know, it's more like when it's more open, it's more difficult for you to remember a map. Whereas if it's enclosed, you're more likely to remember it.
All right, I definitely want to play it first person for sure. I felt like there's potential with GTA 5 in first person.
I tried it. It felt.
I tried. I didn't do it too often.
My thing about that is that like that was added later, where that in Red Dead was added on release. So that's my difference on that one.
Okay. Prawn, real quick.
Yeah.
I ended up dying in the long dark right before I found about 3 or 4, maybe 5 energy bars.
Connor, that game, I tried playing it. That whole first episode, because it doesn't tell you shit, is I died trying to save my health and hunger.
But that's a solid
Yeah.
survival game though.
That's
We
why
gotta get your
I'm also not
priorities.
playing it as.
Oh yeah, but at least teach me the mechanics of how to like make food and make water. I had to like
Wait,
look
does the
shit
game
up
not
and,
do
like,
that to a degree, or
No,
is it like
no,
you have?
It really doesn't.
It does not tell you how to survive.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of Breath of the Wild. Not having a log for all the stuff you cook sucks.
Yeah, there should be.
I'm not
instant
remembering
repeat
that.
recipes.
I'm not remembering. Like I cannot remember recipes for a game that has that many ingredients. Like survival games, like if you're gonna have a survival game, at least give me a log for stuff I've already like crafted, so I know I can make that combo. If you're not gonna tell me, at least give me a log to keep track. Oh man. Also, like, God, Dark Souls 2 sucks.
Never gonna play it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, don't do that.
There's
ever.
no reason to play it. I went through the Scholar First Sin edition because I remember Cameron, I think,
Why?
gave it to me because he didn't want it. So I'm like, sure. I got no, like, it's Dark Souls. Like, I'm gonna go through it. I have never, like, that's the definition of game design that made me feel dead playing it because I just felt nothing.
It just sucks.
Nothing looked appealing. Everything felt grayer than usual, and it's Dark Souls, and it gets kind of gray. Like, exactly. So it's like everything felt died out. The combat felt too easy for a Dark Souls game.
But also, like, why no shield allowed?
Just use the base sword and just
In what
upgrade your
game?
strength.
Listen here, we all know your fucking dirty talk ways.
It solves all problems. Don't use anything else and just go through the game and just watch. Also, it's terrible mechanic of trying to block pathways, and you only have a set amount of keys to unlock those pathways, so you only have to choose specific ones. It's also terrible. Basically,
Let's save real quick.
Basically, there's people that have turned to
it's
stone in the entire map, and you only have a set amount of items that can actually undo it. So, yay! I don't know why they had so many dumb mechanics. in
Okay,
that.
so they give you the option to have something. At least I can find it again really quick. Where's it at? This. They give you this, but they don't tell you what to do. Water purification tablets can help prevent dysentery, which means you have to purify water. You wouldn't know that unless you just found it. And if you didn't find it, then good luck knowing that.
I assumed you have to burn over like a fire or something like that, right?
Yeah, eventually. You can make small campfires out of the woods and stuff you can find in Flint.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's kind of like they need to give you like at least a base tutorial and tell you that like there's a lot of different combinations you could do. Or something, I guess. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
survival games are that weird genre.
why would they do that?
They're in that weird section where you're not too sure.
Do I have to actually aim this? Oh god.
What do you have to actually aim?
You have to actually, you'll get across here, you have to physically aim the stone to throw and kill a rabbit.
Oh yeah, fuck that. I forgot about that. Karan,
That doesn't
it's like
sound
throwing a
possible.
grenade, but you gotta make the grenade. You gotta make the grenade hit a jumping, moving rabbit.
But to be oh my god, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Connor, I'm telling you, that game is not really that good, honestly, unless you know what the fuck you're doing right before the get-go.
That does not sound feasible.
Cool
You know,
concept. I like the idea
you
of
do
it.
get a small like gauge, like he uses his hand to gauge the shot. So if you learn that, then eventually you can do it, but you have to line it up linearly, vertically. That's what I'm looking for. But no,
That-
this is not a very enjoyable game.
That sounds
Sometimes.
unnecessarily difficult.
It is.
Just why? Just why? Okay. Yeah, no, like the GTA map though, like you play it enough and you learn it by the instinct. Racing maps though, like it's nice to have an open world one, but I don't ever expect you guys to actually learn that.
Oh god.
I wasn't trying to.
But there is the same sense of like GTA just does that version a little bit more. Like even like as much as I've played Forza,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know shit about the map.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh fuck. God damn it. Campfire.
You did what you could.
Oh, so Karan, to go
I'm, like,
with what you're saying
cold.
about
Mm-hmm.
learning a racing track. So one thing I've from all the tracks that I've learned in the process to learn them, the way you go faster and the way you memorize how to do everything so properly in every quarter for a track,
Mm-hmm.
because everything you do sets up your next movement. So if I'm going into a corner,
Mm-hmm.
I have to execute it perfectly so that I can get off the straightaway, and because of the straightaway, it lines me up for the next corner. So what happens is, instead of me going like, okay, turn one, do this, turn two, this, it ends up me going like, it's one big flowing rhythm that you get into. Which, when it comes to a game,
Which that is
trying
true.
to think-
He's
Yeah.
100% right on that.
what game? Trust me, there's been a few tracks, road courses where I've really like deep dived to learn them.
I think Sonoma's like the best one that you've done.
Well, that also goes with the whole idea of if I like a road course or not based on its flow. It's because if it flows really well, that's where it's fun. Which Sonoma flows really well.
But that's also you're kind of one willing to learn the layout as well, and then two, like your enjoyment of the game.
Which you're not going to understand this based on names, but I could probably describe it decently well. Mid Ohio is a road course that I absolutely hate
Mm-hmm.
because every time I get every section, if I were to divide the track into thirds, all three of those thirds, in my opinion, don't correlate with each other at all. Like basically, when I'm doing the first third, it doesn't set itself up for the second third, and that second third doesn't set itself for the third third. So that whole track, whenever I was learning it,
I
and now
can
when
get
I
it.
drive it, yeah, it doesn't set itself up properly for each segment for me to sit there and go, okay, I can get in one big massive rhythm. It's me getting in three smaller rhythms, and I hate that.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. No, that seemed very unnecessary for that kind of track.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
what was it? There was a map. There's a reason why I brought this up. I didn't bring it up just out of the blue to say it. There was a map. I want to say it was GTA 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a loose thing, but I think why you can learn a map like GTA 5 is because how the areas correlate with each other.
It's that, and also the
It's like-
design as well. Where like
Well,
there,
it all comes. Yeah, design's a big part too.
there's like distinct differences with areas that kind of help you in the long run to things. Whereas if an area looks too much the same, you don't really know exactly where you're going. Whereas what was I trying to say? Whereas an area looks the same, you kind of just get kind of the blandish look of, okay, yeah, this is this area, goes this way, and this does this. And you get kind of used to the way just things are. And you're like, okay, where am I going now? Because this looks like that last area from before. And then you just get confused at that point.
Yeah.
Which ironically is why I think some of the 2D platforming games, like just like those level games,
Mm-hmm.
can have a really fun time, and they're very not simple, but I think coherent
mm-hmm.
for multiple playthroughs.
Yeah. As yeah, because 2D games, like, I'm not saying they get away with it, but it's more like they have to be distinctive because most of the time 2D games run on the level format.
Oh yeah.
Or like, sorry, an obvious level format. Whereas like a lot of open world games try to like subtly do it, where like you transition from one thing to the next. Like Dark Souls technically a level format. It's just that it transitions into the next one so you don't notice it.
I can go with that. I feel like every time I get a bonfire, I'm on to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level.
Yeah. Where like
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
where like Mario is the easiest one where like, yeah, there are dedicated levels. And most usually like third person cinematic games, stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, no, we'll transition from one thing to the next. Or like Skyrim, it has dedicated quests, and those are basically its levels in the long run of things. Like an RPG, its dedicated levels are its quests.
Yeah, it's like, and you get to, it's like choosing which level you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, and some are more fun than others.
Exactly.
Field Oblivion.
You're like, yeah, I don't like you do quests. You're like, yeah, I don't want to do that level. It sucks. Or like, I don't want to do that quest. It takes too much time.
Not wrong. I could see how this long dark game could be enjoyable though. I really do.
Yeah, there's.
I am
you can-
digging the
you can
vibe
see
of
it.
it, but
Mhm.
like, I don't know how long I'm gonna play it for.
It's just not
yeah.
enjoyable to play.
I enjoy it. I actually am very much enjoying it. But this is also partially because I really want to hear my Shepherd Commander.
Understandable.
Oh wait, Brady, you weren't here for that, were you? So, I started playing the Long Dark immediately after beating Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm.
The main male character is the voice of male Shepherd, and the main female character is the main voice of female Shepherd in this game. So,
Interesting.
I got done playing Mass Effect, and then I had to go sit and listen to a conversation between Shepherd and Shepherd, and it was glorious.
Oh man. Yeah. That's fun. Jennifer Hale, amazing voice actor.
Where is?
Mm-hmm.
It's his ashes aren't here, but I'm fairly positive. I mean, I guess he hasn't come back from pillage. No, I would have found his dead body. But when I go to the handmaiden, she doesn't have his wares.
What are you looking for?
The handmaiden? Oh, you're trying to find the exact stuff you need.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more Titanite scales because I'm trying to level
Check
up
with the
this
old lady in
ultra
the
great
chair.
sword. I already did. I don't have his ashes to get what I need from him.
Then you look it up?
I am looking it up.
Yeah, that's one of the things you're gonna have to find.
So it's all the way back there, I think, right?
Maybe.
Let's try this. Maybe I'm gonna look. No, I'm fairly positive I found the part where he would have been, because there's also a little Dark Souls 3 message saying you don't deserve this or something like that.
Oh man.
Oh well.
Although I will say this game does have one of the more fun, long dark it is, the more fun effects of having very low health. Where it's very
It's
realistic
definitely
and
it's
very
definitely interesting.
nerve-wracking.
You definitely feel like you're playing a guy on the verge of dying.
Yeah. It gets that very realistic. The way that he put that made me very funny.
You really feel like you're about to die at this man in VR. You can really feel how terrible it is to actually throw a stone.
Fuck that. When I saw I had to throw a stone to get the rabbit, I was like, I don't know.
I'm really hoping like the next trend is just gonna be Breath of the Wild clones. By the way, I'm really hoping for that.
Huh?
I'm hoping the next trend is just Breath of the Wild clones,
Could be.
Oh.
because then it'll give Nintendo ideas to actually make the world more open and less open and more interesting.
Fair enough.
Uh,
I will give you that. Yeah, that's one thing I wish Breath of the Wild did a little bit better was more biomes, more diversity.
like yeah, because once again it still had the basic for grass, fire, earth, wind, whatever.
Yeah, but those areas were so like the desert area was small compared to the grass. The fire was small compared to the grass. The grass was such a large chunk of it.
Grass, they had like a dense jungle area, but once again there was nothing really there.
There's nothing there.
And like I do like they want to make it an RPG, but they do it in the most light way possible. Like it's almost
God
like
damn it,
Skyrim
guys.
actually, now that I'm thinking about it. When it comes to how they
No,
handle,
I think it's like I think that's fair.
like there's a lot of stuff they could do that improves the RPG aspects, like give us dedicated logs to keep track of where stuff is at. Like if you want to make a certain
Now
potion,
Skyrim,
Mhm.
you can have a log for it.
Yeah, you don't have a log in Skyrim. That's why no one uses alchemy. Like, you don't know where to get this
Because alchemy
dedicated stuff.
sucks.
So, like, what's the point of you trying to collect and make certain potions if you only get this stuff so randomly?
I know this is very nitpicky for a certain game, for a certain thing, but the Red
Mhm.
Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, where you have to go find those fucking flowers.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's bad. That was bad, time consuming, and pointless.
Was it as
Mhm.
bad as collecting the Triforce and Wind Waker, Karan?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it was that bad.
You know what that is, Connor? What I'm talking about?
No, but it was just that bad.
Oh, I hate
So bad
both
that you
now.
wanted
Let me
agree
just
or
explain to
something?
you how bad this was. So you are told to go find 5 sets of 2 types of flowers. So 5 each. It doesn't tell you where. You have to look that up on your own. And then you are given an area to walk around in Red Dead Redemption, which is a big ass area. And you have to go try and gather flowers while dodging
Ooh, I
fucking
hate
zombies.
that. Brady, tell him about the original
Okay.
way you had to
Original
collect the
Wind Waker?
Triforce. Yeah, original. Go original.
Okay. So there was a certain point. This is one of those Zelda games I was telling you, Connor, where Link acquires the Triforce through his journeys. So
Mhm.
one of the big things with Wind Waker was
I hate this. I
Everything
hate this
got
so
flooded.
much.
yeah, this is pretty bad. So everything gets flooded. So the whole thing of the game's traversal is you're sailing on the open seas. Pretty fun aspect.
Mm.
But the cool thing with it is you can see little glows, and you have like a little excavator claw, and you can put it down at those glows to get treasures usually. So the way the game was like, hey, that's kind of a nice little side activity you could do to get some money and whatnot. Let's do a very important mandatory quest in order for you to beat the boss.
So much time.
So here let me put it this way. Here's the flow of the game. Mess around in this village area. Village area tells you about temple. You go do temple. Move on. another village-esque area, hub area, tells you about temple, do it. So you get in this rhythm of doing outside temple things, doing temple. You get the Master Sword, it tells you to go to these 2 temples that are a little bit longer each, so it's alright. So you go to the temple, and then you go to the second temple. And it's like, okay, my Master Sword's all buffed up, I have everything I need, time to go fight Ganon. And the game is like, okay, before you fight Ganon, on your nice little, decently paced journey, we need you to find 8 Triforce charts, because you can find treasure charts that tell you islands and stuff. So now you have to fight or find 8 Triforce charts for 8 shards. And you're like, okay, that's kind of tedious. How could this get worse? You can't read the charts unless you get somebody to decipher them. Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. Finds the guy who deciphers them. All right, sir, can you
God.
can you please...
Give me a headache thinking about it.
What's the word? What's the word? Can you please...
I did that as a kid, man.
Yeah, as a kid. So in order for you to get the charts deciphered, you find the guy. The guy's like, okay, I'm not going to do it for free. Okay, he wants a small fee. I've acquired about maybe 1,000 or so rupees. How much?
Which is understandable.
1,000 per chart. 1,000 per chart.
And that's
so now
like...
you have to get 8,000 rupees to tip for 8 charts, and you're not done yet. Once you get all 8 charts, well, you can also do a chart then piece, but let's say you get all 8 charts deciphered and you spent all that money. Now you gotta go to 8 different locations, dick around the island to see the glow, and then it gets even better, because the glow disappears the moment it's rendered. So now you gotta basically travel about 80 yards and hopefully gauge that you correctly coasted the right place.
So, and let me just tell you, then the HGB Master came out, and they reduced that to, what was it, 3 or 4?
I thought they reduced it to where once you, instead of finding charts then pieces, the charts were the pieces.
Yeah, something like that. They reduced it significantly.
But
yeah.
I have a counter argument. I have a counter game, a worse game. Shenmue.
I never played it.
That's a completely different thing.
Never had the intention.
Going to.
Yeah.
Actually, I watched the Super Eye Patch Wolf guys video on the disaster that was Shenmue 3, and I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him in 2 ways. One, he had to play that game twice. And 2,
it looked like a more boring Yakuza game.
For it. Like if we were burned on Borderlands 3, I could only imagine him.
It looked like a far more boring Yakuza game in all its entirety.
You know, Karan, I think the Wind Waker thing could have easily been in Shenmue, that kind of style game design.
Well, like, that's the definition of, it's not a fetch quest. No. A fetch quest is fine. That is an entire fetch investment.
That's true. How much longer do you think we're gonna be on, guys?
You getting tired?
No, I was just take a shit break. I didn't want you to...
Oh, no, you're good, man.
I feel okay.
I'm fine.
We're keeping a good discussion going, so I haven't been fatigued at all because of it.
The discussion kept me up.
Cool. All right. I plan on staying for a little bit longer.
All right, man.
Give me about like 5-10 minutes.
You're good, man.
All right, cool.